We often believe that love means protection, that if someone truly loves us, they will shield us from pain, remove obstacles, soften every fall. But this belief, while comforting, is incomplete, because the truth is more unsettling and more healing. People who truly love you will sometimes allow you to suffer. We are often taught that love means comfort, protection, and relief. From an early age, many of us learn that to love someone is to take away what hurts them, to intervene quickly when discomfort appears, to smooth the path so they do not have to feel pain. This idea is understandable, especially in a world where pain has so often felt overwhelming and unsafe. But it quietly misunderstands the nature of growth. Pain is not always a sign that something has gone wrong. Often, it is a sign that something true is trying to emerge. Emotional pain can arise when an old adaptation no longer fits, when a familiar identity begins to crack, or when the body and mind refuse to keep carrying what was never meant to be carried alone. In these moments, removing the pain too quickly can mean removing the very opportunity for awareness and change. When we rush to fix someone's suffering, we may be responding more to our own discomfort than to their needs. Watching someone struggle can activate fear, helplessness, and old wounds in us, and rescuing can feel like love because it gives us a sense of control. Yet this can unintentionally send the message that their pain is dangerous, intolerable, or unmanageable without outside intervention. Respecting growth means trusting that discomfort can be meaningful. It means recognizing that another person's inner process belongs to them, even when it is messy, slow, or frightening. Love in this sense is not passive or indifferent. It is deeply attentive. It listens without trying to correct. It stays present without taking over. It allows space for someone to encounter themselves fully, rather than pushing them back into familiar roles or coping strategies. Growth rarely feels gentle while it is happening. It often feels like loss, confusion, or failure before it feels like clarity. To respect growth is to understand that love does not always look like relief. Sometimes it looks like patience, restraint, and the courage to remain connected while another person finds their own way through what hurts. When someone we care about is in pain, the impulse to rescue can feel immediate and instinctive. We want to step in, solve the problem, offer advice, or remove the source of distress as quickly as possible. This reaction is often driven by compassion, but it is also shaped by discomfort with pain itself. Many of us learned early on that suffering should be avoided, hidden, or fixed, rather than understood. Rescuing can become problematic when it replaces curiosity with control. Instead of asking what the pain is expressing, we focus on making it stop. In doing so, we may unintentionally communicate that the person's experience is too much, that their feelings are unmanageable, or that they cannot cope on their own. Over time, this reinforces a sense of fragility rather than strength, dependence rather than agency. For individuals who carry old emotional wounds, especially those rooted in childhood, rescuing can mirror earlier dynamics. If someone learned that love was conditional on being compliant, helpless, or in need, being rescued can quietly confirm those beliefs. It keeps them in a familiar role where their pain is attended to, but their autonomy is not fully recognized. The wound remains active because the underlying message has not changed. Rescuing also protects the rescuer. By fixing, advising, or intervening, we avoid sitting with our own feelings of helplessness, fear, or grief. We remain active and useful, rather than vulnerable and present. This can create an unspoken imbalance, where one person holds power and the other remains stuck in a position of need. Healing requires a different kind of support. It involves allowing someone to experience their emotions without rushing to alter them, while offering presence instead of solutions. When pain is met with patience and respect, it can unfold into insight and integration. When it is immediately rescued away, it often returns in another form, repeating the same patterns and deepening the very wounds we were trying to heal. Much of human suffering does not arise from sudden catastrophe, but from long-standing disconnection from inner truth. From an early age, many people learn which emotions are acceptable and which are not, which needs will be met and which will be ignored. In order to belong, to stay safe, or to maintain attachment, parts of the self are pushed aside. What cannot be expressed does not disappear. It settles into the body, the nervous system, and the unconscious. Suffering often emerges when these suppressed truths can no longer remain hidden. Anxiety may surface when someone is living a life that contradicts their deeper values. Depression can appear when vitality has been sacrificed for approval or survival. Physical symptoms may arise when emotional boundaries have been crossed repeatedly without acknowledgement. These experiences are not random malfunctions, but meaningful signals that something essential has been ignored for too long. The mind is skilled at rationalizing disconnection. It explains away discomfort, blames circumstances, or labels pain as weakness. The body, however, is less willing to negotiate. It speaks through tension, fatigue, illness, and emotional overwhelm. Suffering becomes the language of truth when all other forms of expression have been denied. It forces attention where none was previously given. Listening to suffering requires a shift in perspective. Instead of asking how to eliminate pain, the question becomes what the pain is asking to be seen. This can be unsettling because suppressed truths often involve grief, anger, fear, or unmet needs that were once too dangerous to acknowledge. Yet avoiding them only deepens the suffering, turning a message into a chronic condition. When suffering is approached with curiosity rather than judgment, it can reveal forgotten parts of the self. It can point toward boundaries that were never allowed, desires that were never named, or wounds that were never witnessed. In this way, pain is not the opposite of healing, but a doorway into it, guiding attention back to authenticity and inner alignment where wholeness begins to re-emerge. In moments of pain, people often search for answers, strategies, or fixes. We are conditioned to believe that suffering is a problem to be solved rather than an experience to be met. This mindset can make us rush toward advice, explanations, or action, even when what is being asked for is something far simpler and far more difficult: presence. Presence requires slowing down, setting aside the urge to intervene, and allowing another person's experience to exist without immediately trying to change it. Being present means offering attention without agenda. It is the act of listening without rehearsing a response, of staying emotionally available without directing the outcome. When someone feels truly seen and heard, their nervous system begins to settle. The body registers safety not because the problem has been fixed, but because the person no longer feels alone with it. This sense of safety is often the foundation upon which healing can begin. Solutions, while sometimes necessary, can inadvertently shut down deeper processes. Advice can bypass emotion. Reassurance can minimize pain. Problem solving can imply that the current state is unacceptable. In contrast, presence communicates acceptance of what is, without judgment or urgency. It allows emotions to move, thoughts to clarify, and insights to arise naturally rather than being imposed from the outside. Many wounds are relational in nature. They formed in environments where emotions were ignored, dismissed, or overwhelmed. In such cases, healing does not come primarily from understanding what happened, but from experiencing something different now. Presence offers that difference. It replaces isolation with connection and control with compassion. To be present with someone in pain also requires tolerating one's own discomfort. It asks us to face feelings of helplessness and uncertainty without escaping into action. This can feel counterintuitive in a culture that values productivity and quick results. Yet it is often in these quiet, unfixable moments that the most profound shifts occur. When pain is allowed to unfold in the company of a steady, attentive presence, it begins to transform from something overwhelming into something human, meaningful, and ultimately bearable. Avoidance is one of the most common responses to pain, and often one of the earliest learned. When an experience feels overwhelming, the mind and body naturally look for ways to escape it. This can take many forms, from distraction and business to emotional numbness, perfectionism, or constant positivity. These strategies are not signs of weakness. They are intelligent adaptations that once served a protective purpose. However, what protects in the short term can quietly prolong suffering in the long term. When pain is avoided, it does not resolve itself. It simply goes underground. Unfelt emotions accumulate, unmet needs remain unspoken, and unresolved experiences continue to influence behavior from the background. Avoidance may reduce immediate discomfort, but it also interrupts the natural process through which experiences are integrated and understood. Healing requires contact, and avoidance prevents that contact from happening. Many people fear that if they turn toward their pain, it will overwhelm them or never end. This fear often comes from earlier moments in life when support was absent and emotions truly were too much to handle alone. In the present, the same fear can persist even when the conditions are different. Avoidance then becomes a way of staying loyal to an outdated survival strategy, even as it limits growth and freedom. Avoidance can also show up in relationships. Loved ones may distract, rescue, or encourage moving on too quickly, believing they are helping. While well-intentioned, this can reinforce the message that pain is intolerable or unacceptable. As a result, the person suffering may feel pressured to suppress what they are experiencing, deepening their sense of isolation. Turning toward pain does not mean dwelling in it or being defined by it. It means allowing it to be felt, named, and understood in its own time. When discomfort is met with awareness and compassion, it begins to shift. Avoidance keeps wounds frozen in place. Presence allows them to thaw, making space for insight, release, and genuine healing to unfold through honest engagement with what has been waiting to be felt. Allowing someone to struggle goes against many of our instincts about care and responsibility. When we see a person we love in distress, we often feel compelled to intervene, to guide, to protect them from mistakes or pain. This impulse is understandable, especially if we equate love with saving and strength with control. Yet there is another form of care that is quieter and often more demanding: the willingness to trust another person's capacity to meet their own experience. Letting someone struggle does not mean abandoning them or withholding support. It means resisting the urge to take over their process. Struggle is often where learning, insight, and self-trust are forged. When someone is repeatedly rescued, they may be spared discomfort, but they are also denied the chance to discover their own resilience. Over time, this can weaken confidence and reinforce the belief that they cannot cope without external direction. Deep trust recognizes that each person has an inner intelligence shaped by their history, values, and needs. Even when their choices look uncertain or painful from the outside, those experiences may be necessary for them to clarify what is true for them. Interfering too quickly can interrupt this process, replacing their inner authority with someone else's judgment. There is also an emotional cost to constant intervention. It can create subtle power imbalances, where one person becomes the knower and the other the dependent. This dynamic may feel supportive on the surface, but it often limits authentic connection. Trust, by contrast, invites equality. It says, without words, that the other person is capable even when they are struggling. To practice this kind of trust requires tolerating uncertainty and managing one's own anxiety. It asks us to stay present without directing, to care without controlling. This is not passive love, it is courageous love. It holds space rather than filling it, allowing struggle to do its work. When someone is permitted to face difficulty while feeling emotionally supported rather than managed, the struggle itself can become a pathway to self-understanding, strength, and a more grounded sense of autonomy. And perhaps the deepest act of love is this: to trust that your pain is not meaningless, that your struggle is not a failure, and that on the other side of suffering, when it is met with compassion rather than resistance, there is not collapse, but liberation. That is not the love that rescues, that is the love that frees.